We're in fantasy football draft season, and we're looking at late-round quarterbacks to add to our team. One quarterback everybody's looking at right now because news just dropped is Bo Nix. He is now the starting quarterback for the Broncos. You're wondering not whether you should be interested in him. We're going to talk about whether you need him or not for fantasy football right now for 2024. But before we dig in, you need to click that subscribe button because we're talking about these players every day. We're doing deep dives, a few of them a day. Every day, even during the season as things change, we'll do that with the waiver wire on top of talking the waiver wire every single day and helping you set your lineups. Click that button, stop missing out because we're going to win some leagues this year. Bo Nix is the starting quarterback for the Broncos. That news just dropped just a few minutes ago. It is hot off the press and it's shaking things up. But coming out of high school, he went to Auburn, one of the top quarterbacks in his class, heavily recruited by some top schools, Florida, Clemson, Alabama, Auburn, but a guy with a little bit of speed here, running a 4.6 back then, and played in all the All-Star games you can imagine, played in the opening finals, the Elite 11, Alabama, Mississippi All-Star game, Under Armour All-American game, projected to be a second and third round pick back then. He beat that, comped to Trace McSorley, pretty much because he's mobile and has got an arm on him. But there's more to his game, and he has developed a lot considering he was at college for a long time. He started off at Auburn, played 3 seasons there. Okay, but not a great prospect back in those days. Then he transferred to Oregon, and then he just started popping off. And everybody was wondering, is this the same Bo Nix back then? And then he put the stamp on things in 2023, and he was very productive and looking good. Averaged 11.2 yards per attempt, 45 touchdowns, and just 3 interceptions. The dude is efficient. He is smart with the football. 26 interceptions in 5 seasons, and it's not just 5 seasons where he was barely getting playing time. He was the guy with both teams. And just 26 interceptions in 5 seasons. And that is what we're seeing at Broncos. Minicamp, training camp, OTAs, rookie camp. That he's very smart and sound with the football. Does not make many mistakes. Gets the ball out quickly. Hits his outlets over the middle. Takes the short dump offs. Lives to play another down. We're seeing that in preseason. And you're seeing this in the game logs as well. He was stellar in a lot of these tough matchups back in the Pac-12. Back then, Pac-12 after dark, making some plays happening in some big moments. And then you look at his numbers, where the ball was going during his time last year at Oregon. Short to intermediate, just getting it done, making the smart moves, still throwing it downfield, not many mistakes. He just does not make mistakes. He's getting the ball out there. He's getting it to the guys in the outlet, living to play another down instead of forcing it, and that's what we're seeing with Bo Nix. And the one thing in training camp that has been stated about his game is he wasn't super flashy, but he was getting the job done. He was beating out the gatekeeper quarterbacks in practice every day. It was a battle to start things off in training camp. Eventually, when we got to joint practice time, he showed off and said, hey, this is my job. And he was looking good against the Packers in joint practices. He was coming in every day in practice, just ripping it and looking good. And looking at what he's done in preseason, it's what you come to expect. Not overly flashy, getting the job done, very accurate. Had an adjusted completion rate of 80%, 88.9% last week. And it's just hitting his guys. His ADOT's not super high, but again, if the top's not open, he's not afraid to hit the outlet and live to play another down. He's not going to toss many interceptions. We'll see when things get a little bit more exotic in the future. But so far for a rookie, he has been lights out. And he got drafted in the first round to the Broncos. A lot of people did not like that pick. And not a lot of people had him as a top-end quarterback in this year's draft. But the thing about this is a very good quarterback class. He's got a lot of experience, and he's smart with the football. He beat out the gatekeepers. He beat out the gatekeepers on the roster. He has already proven that he's better than those dudes. Those dudes who are there to prevent a young prospect from succeeding. He beat that level. Now he's the starter. Let's see what he's going to do. But last year they had Russell Wilson completing just 66% of the passes, throwing some deep balls. Jarrett Stidham was also there. He beat him out. Now he's the starter. Things are going to look a lot different. But we got 3,000 yards out of Wilson last year, 297 completions, 26 touchdowns. Do you think he can beat that or give you something similar? But we look at the weapons here. We got Troy Franklin, his old teammate. He's developing. He's trying to climb the depth chart. Marvin Mims has fallen back a little bit, and Tim Patrick's coming up. Tim Patrick's coming back from a devastating injury and is looking good. He is the guy you got to root for. He is the underdog story. The guy coming back from a devastating injury and just coming back and playing well. A couple years ago, playing well for the Broncos, catching balls downfield. If he's healthy on the field for a full season, this offense could be a little bit different. Courtland Sutton, downfield threats, could really help this offense. Josh Reynolds, another addition. Not a cast of standouts. It's not like we're running out Justin Jefferson out there, but we have some potential. If you're talking about long-term, they're probably going to bring in other wide receivers. Watch Troy Franklin for the long-term. These guys have a good rapport together, but still, things are on the up and up for this team, and the market is saying, hey, round 16 draft capital. A week or so ago, we were talking about Bo Nix. Round 17, round 18. Prior to that, he was the last pick in ADP in the bottom right-hand corner, and he keeps going up. That is what the chart is saying. The chart is saying, and what ADP is saying, that drafters are more interested in him. They're interested in drafting him, having him on the back end of the roster because of the upside, because of him being a potential starter. He's ranked now in ADP to QB 27 in fantasy football. So if you're rocking just one QB, you're not drafting him unless you're going really late and you're just streaming quarterbacks left and right. If you're going 2 QBs and you're taking a quarterback with your last pick, maybe not. I can make a case for the other quarterbacks too. Quarterback's a position that you stream, so you can stream the matchups with him. That is something you're probably looking to do until further notice. That is what I advise, streaming matchups with them until further notice if you're there. But if you're drafting a quarterback in the top 10, you're starting that guy over Bo Nix nonetheless. Bo Nix isn't jumping that much in value. We'll watch his ADP over time. News just dropped. It's going to go up. But you don't need him if you got a QB. You don't need him if you got a QB. If you're good at QB, you're good to go. If you drafted a top 10 quarterback, the waiver wire is your backup quarterback. If you're in a 1 QB league, I really wouldn't stress it too much, but I would look at him if you're playing the waiver wire, if you're streaming. You need him if you're in a 2 QB league as a backup, if you're in a deep league, and you need a backup quarterback. He's a guy to look at because you got to get the starting quarterbacks. That's what you're doing. It's so deep in your league that every starting quarterback has to be rostered. That's what you're looking at. But right now with Bo Nix, we're looking at a quarterback to stream with. He's a quarterback you play the matchups with. You didn't draft a big-time quarterback. You're going late-round quarterback. You're streaming here on out. You know this going in. You're playing the matchups. You're playing them against the Chiefs. You're playing them against the Chargers. You're playing them in those AFC West matchups that are supposed to have a higher point threshold, and you're trying to work those matchups and get those QB1 performances out of them, at least a high-end QB2, to see what happens. And also, you know whether the first few weeks of the season, whether it's a hit or not, so you're not really stressing it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Hit that subscribe button on the way out. One thing for watching. Catch you on the next video.